It's Friday, 22nd. 22nd? Boy, that's bad. That's actually an auto thing. That is not, I didn't take that in, guys. That's algorithm. Live stream stuff. They don't have that right, obviously. But it's Friday, Friday 22nd, and we've got a lot of stuff going on. Thank you for letting me know that my audio is good, even if the date's a little messed up there. It is Friday, which actually doesn't really mean much to me or anybody else, because when you're working to change your country, you work 7 days a week and you find time when you can. And that's been the case. Today, we're a little behind, we're a little tired, we're dragging ass today because of everything that went down yesterday. There was a lot of stuff that went down. Janine wasn't even around in the latter half of the day because she was off doing all these other things. You know that she's Rhode Island for Bernie? I mean, she's doing all this other groundwork stuff. I complain about what's going on with YouTube, but I'm the one who just sits here all the time typing in and doing electric stuff. She's off doing boots on the ground, army type work, getting people registered, doing the hard stuff. Right, Janine?
It's fun, though. Yeah, yesterday was a big day because Bernie he applied to get on the ballot. Well, not his campaign did here in Rhode Island. So yeah, we have until February 4th to collect 2,500 signatures. Technically, we only have to collect 1,000, but you want to get extras because the Board of Canvassers can throw out a bunch of signatures if it doesn't exactly match the name. And I think that might have been O'Malley's problem in Ohio. But so our goal is 2,500 signatures, and we've got about 2 weeks to do it, so it's going to be fun.
All right, well, there it is. Is there any way that people can help, or they have to be in your state?
They have to be a registered voter of Rhode Island, so.
Okay, so if you're in Rhode Island, Janine is Rhode Island for Bernie, and if you want to help, what should they do, Janine?
Check us out on Facebook, Rhode Island for Bernie Sanders. And we're posting events all the time. I'm basically going to be traveling around the state to collect signatures, and a bunch of other people are too. So, check us out there for events. Or go to map.berniesanders.com.
There you go. Everything you need to know is at berniesanders.com, really. It'll link you off into everything else. I'm looking. Hi, Robin. Hi, Ed Thompson. Network engineer? Okay, cool. Awesome. I took one of the original Microsoft MCSE back in 2000. I was one of the first Windows 2000, maybe it was XP. It was one of the first XP certified. I can't remember what it was. But it was way back when they charged me a shit ton of money. And then right after I got that degree, the first econ bubble bust. And so all of those admins that had been doing that job with hands-on experience came out. They were all fired. They needed jobs. So my big Microsoft degree was worth. Anyway, so nice to meet another network engineer. I hope you're doing well and have a job with it. Simcat, hi. E. Williams, hi. Janine's chatting in there. Thanks, guys. William Lang. See, I'm getting used to looking at all these names. And thank you, Kristen. You thought it was a nice news intro? Good. I'm glad. Now, I will say that I just grabbed that from Audio Blocks, that tune. So if anybody wants to create us a much better news intro, I will use it. We'll credit you. I'd love to get something like that. Don't really care what it is. We're open to it. This is the News the 99. This is my suit and tie. This is what I wear. So, but let's talk about Bernie. Let's talk about news. Let's talk about what's going on. Before we move on into the world, just a reminder that yesterday our channel was shut down again by YouTube. And, that was channel number 4. I was kind of happy with channel number 4. It was growing at a good pace. Numbers were outstanding. We were doing really good there. We were being good. Janine can tell you that we were really doing our best. We weren't using MSM material. We were shut down again for Terms of Service 4, Section H, which is basically, from what we've now researched, is YouTube's blanket bullshit excuse for any time they want to shut down anybody just cause. And they don't really need to give you an actual reason, and it says that in their terms of service. We don't really need a reason to shut you down. Just say we're going to shut you down because we're YouTube. So that's what they did, and what's cool about it is you guys reacted so fast, and I put out this video, and if you haven't gone to channel number 5, which will resolve with Bernie, http, Bernie2016tv will go to our channel. That resolves to our new channel for as long as this one stays up. And there are, there will be 4 videos up there now. One is We the People with Portia Bolger we did yesterday, and that was a fantastic show. Please go watch that and share it. She's awesome. She's a badass. I have no idea about her history. What a badass. Did you know, Janine?
I did not know, but I think it's awesome.
I'm just going to leave you up there for a second. I want to show you this slide. This was the first slide I saw yesterday. I'm like, really? This is Portia Bolger, 1984. She was a union carpenter in, I don't know where she was, but that's her. All right? And then this is her fighting. This is her trying to make a difference on the street. And this is her fighting on the street. And that's her with we know who that is, right? So that's Mrs. Sanders right there, future First Lady of the United States. Here, Gene, I'm going to give you the heads up. You didn't have the heads up before.
Oh, thank you.
You're quite welcome there.
I was waiting for a 30-second delay before I could see what you were showing.
And here she is with Tina Turner. There's a video that we ran yesterday of her in front of a school dealing with fracking, screaming. I love this woman. She has the same piss and vinegar that I had. She's screaming. These cops are like, let's go. She's like, ah! This is what it takes, folks. This is passion. This is where the political revolution starts, is with people like Portia Bolger. That is how her name is pronounced. Make sure it's like Portia Bolger. She is one of the founding members of Women for Bernie, and they are doing amazing things to help Bernie get elected. If you are a woman or if you're a man, she made that very clear. They want a lot of men and women for Bernie, because Bernie is a feminist. Bernie is a man who understands that women and men are equal and should be equal. They're just not treated that way under our law. They're not treated that way by most businesses. It's really sad and disgusting. And so we need Women for Bernie to grow. It is a massive group. They do a lot of great work. Check out their site. I'm actually going to put up the bottom card we had from the website. I love this. Let me show you this. This is a flyer they did. All sorts of information on it. And you can go to their site and download this, print it out. They have black and white color versions. This is host a Women for Bernie meetup. February 10th. I'm going to get this thing there. Those are the links right there. And there. womenforbernie.us. Check them out. Connect with them. Portia is one of the 99. She's a badass. She's been doing this for a long time. And wow, I was really, really impressed. I was really impressed. It was really cool. What's the next thing? Oh, so the shutdown. I've got this here. I even froze it on a very... one of my typical psychotic ranty looks. There we go. That's me yelling. And so,
you never yell, John.
No. Okay, so we can talk about that. But somebody sent me an email. Maybe I can just show you my email. I don't know. Just here. There we go. Somebody sent me this, and you probably can't see this. I'm showing you my email in this broadcast. They said, I found this video of this guy, and you remind me of him. And I was like, oh, I don't know if that's good or bad. And so I clicked. Chad just informed me of who he is. A guy named Mike Malloy, who is apparently like Ed Schultz with F-bombs. And I wasn't aware of that. And I'll take that. Ed Schultz with F-bombs. Sure. I'll go with that. Thank you very much. So it's a compliment. He's a progressive news guy. So I did not know who he was. But that's awesome. So we had We the People was a fantastic episode. We also had a big episode on climate change yesterday, and that was the first thing that happened in the morning. And right before we went to do this broadcast on climate change, we really talked about how Exxon is the Nazi Germany of the energy industry, and we're gonna make sure we say that every day. I want that recorded on video every day, that Exxon is the Nazi Germany of the energy industry. I'm not sure why we haven't shut the company down, tried them for crimes against humanity, and liquidated, take the money, and build an energy grid for the world. That would be the most just way we could deal with Exxon as the horrific entity that they are. All right. But right before we went to do this broadcast, our channel was shut down. Channel number 4 was shut down. For Terms of Service 4, Section H. And I made a video. It's on that channel. Please, if you could, watch it. I know it's 20 minutes. It's a little long, but it goes into what actually we're doing here. It tells you the history of our channels being shut down and what happened, what we tried to do about it. And it's a plea to Google and YouTube and investors, lawyers, anybody out there who understands what this system is and what we're doing here and why YouTube keeps shutting us down. The truth of the matter is that when we do what we do for a Bernie rally, and the 99 show up to engage with us, we're dangerous. We create a threat to the establishment because they see that we can organize all of our voices, amplify those voices, and push out the message louder and better than anything else that the establishment can do. We are the evolution of broadcast media, and they are scared of what we're doing. The numbers that we generate on the web are massive. Massive in terms of engagement. If we were monetized, YouTube would be making some serious cash. That's why I don't monetize. And I want to make that clear. Like, we don't monetize this channel, and we will not monetize the channel Bernie2016tv because it is for the people, by the people, and I'm not going to take your money for providing you news and information that you should be getting for free anyway. So this system, what we do here, I've offered it to YouTube, I've offered it to other investors to say, look, if you want to do this, the stacks of multi-channel networks that keep emailing me, asking me, would you please let us sign you up so we can make money off your channel? I've offered you guys what we do. I've got a patented process here, but I will not apply monetization to this channel. We can make other channels, do it over there, make other news programs, but not this channel. So that's the video explains all of that. The video also explains that whatever happens with Bernie2016tv is irrelevant, really, to the end goal. I don't want people thinking that I'm trying to make this some kind of an attention center. It's not. We're just volunteers trying to deliver information to the public. But the real goal is getting Bernie Sanders elected. That has not changed. That is the #1 goal. No Bernie Sanders, no change. No Bernie Sanders, no country. So the first goal for me is Bernie Sanders. And if I have to shut all of this shit down tomorrow so that I can help Bernie Sanders get elected, I will do that. So please don't think that I'm trying to distract from that. And understand why I don't monetize this channel. It would be very easy to do that, probably work with YouTube. But I will not have ads running across this channel that support corporate interests that Bernie does not support. And that's what would happen. We would have no control over the advertising that was splashed across our channel. And I cannot have that. Won't have that. Just to explain that. So there's the climate change video on there. There's the video I made, which is a plea to YouTube and Google, asking them where their ethics and integrity is, and saying let's talk. Let's talk. You know, we should be working together here. If you truly don't want to be evil, if you really are what you say you are, Google, then let's talk. But right now, it just looks like you're protecting your corporate interests. It really does. All right, what was next on this thing? Flint. That what's next on the rundown, Janine? No, the Iowa poll.
The Iowa poll, yes. We're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Some really good numbers.
Yes. I am pulling up the HuffPost, the overall HuffPost chart here. So was it yesterday that this news came out? about the 51% on the one poll, the CNN poll, or was it the day?
Yeah, I mean, it was all, they were talking about it a lot. It might have come out the day before, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
But it was all over the news yesterday.
All right, so what we're talking about here, guys, on the news yesterday, and I'm going to scroll down to it. Here's the latest polls, and you can see the Emerson College Polling Society one has a different take there, but the CNN one was out yesterday, or maybe the day before. Yesterday. 51% Sanders, and that's huge. The gap is closing. This is what's going on here, guys. Remember, there's a margin of error, so we're well within the margin of error all around for the average of these polls. And we can assume they're skewed. I'm not worried. Are you worried?
I'm not worried at all.
I'm not either.
Because a lot of these polls, they're not polling independents. They're not polling people who just have cell phones.
Right.
Who are, a majority of them are Bernie voters.
Yep. That's something that I think they're doing. They're desperately trying to keep you from understanding it. Right. All of these poll numbers are slighted towards Hillary. And it's because of the way the polls are designed. It's because of who they're polling. And this is also why they do their best to discount online polls. We certainly don't want people believing what the online polls have to say. We certainly want to make sure that people think the online polls are far less accurate than anything that the mainstream media polls come up with.
Mm-hmm.
And that's bullshit. In my personal opinion, without having any real expertise or knowledge on polling, I would just say that all of these polls are inaccurate. All of these polls are just a little guesstimate sample because we really don't have a way in this country yet to get an accurate sample. We should. We've had the technology to do this for decades, but the government, the last thing on earth they would want is for a consensus of American people. We have the technology today, right now, to self-govern. Don't even need representatives.
Yeah, I mean, well, you were showing those numbers up, and even the CNN poll it's based on 280 people.
Man, that's it?
Based on 258 people.
That is it? Wow.
Yeah.
So, I mean, based on sample size alone, folks, that's not all that accurate. Really isn't. The internet polls have thousands and thousands of people on them. And you can claim, well, that's just a bunch of... Time Magazine worded... Time Magazine had a thing on their poll saying, even though Bernie Sanders won by a mile on our poll, remember that this doesn't count actual votes. This only counts internet devices and people connected to them that are, trying to get their candidate to win. I'm like, what the hell difference does that make? What? Time? Are you trying to say that this is not a human being voting? What are you trying to say? I don't even understand what they're trying to say.
That's why I liked, the way that Move On and Democracy for America did it, and I think even Working Families, it was a test by your email.
Yes.
So the results that they got on who to endorse came from that, valid people who had an email address that, wasn't just somebody, replying to the poll more than once or something like that.
Right. Right.
I mean, yeah, I guess there's a ways around that too, but, as far as accuracy goes, and Bernie won those, endorsements because he got like 80-something% of the respondents.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So I'm reading some of the comments, right, from SL11, Bernie has tremendous support among millennials. Yeah, we just need to get to the caucus. Here's the thing. I think they're already there. I think, from what I've seen, and Janine, you could attest to this because you're the one actually on the ground doing this work, seems to me like millennials are energized. They're activated.
Yeah, and I would say, this myth that it's just millennials.
Right.
What we saw yesterday, like I said, we had, I think, over 200 people show up. And there was everybody. And I mean everybody.
Right.
Millennials, a lot of older people, people, my age, 30s, 40s, people from all different walks of life and all different colors, and it was wonderful to see so many different people coming out for Bernie. So, yeah, I mean, he has a great support system in the millennials, but I think he's got great support with everybody.
He really does. He really does, and they're just. I see the comments. Oh, where's Bernie's minority support? Where's all the color in that crowd? If I had Channel 4 up and you could actually look at the content, you could see the diversity. If I had, well, you can go to channels 1 and 2. I can't stream from those, but you can go look at the archive, the hundreds of videos, hundreds of rallies. Yeah. It's funny when MSM says Bernie doesn't have the support or doesn't have enough support of this group or that group or this color or that color or whatever the hell they want to.
They're making it up.
Down. What?
They're making it up. I mean, there were 3 magazines in Nevada that just came out in support of Bernie. You know, does anybody talk about that? No. You know, what about Killer Mike and Nina Turner and Cornel West? You know, doing that thing with Bernie the other day. You know, he's got Russell Simmons retweeted a tweet from Bernie. You know, and I realize those are just celebrities, but there is support for him, and they're just not going to talk about it. You know.
And the support that Hillary gets, let's compare. Okay. First of all, I haven't heard any actual names supporting Hillary Clinton. I've heard super PACs. I've heard of corporations. I haven't heard of any people, individuals. I really haven't seen these individuals. Who are the big celebrity people of minority that are with Hillary Clinton that haven't flopped, right? That haven't gone, whoops, that was a mistake. That's my question. I don't see this happening. I don't see what they're talking about. Hillary says, I have this, I have that. Another thing, Bernie says, where are your plans? So Hillary, you've got imaginary supporters. Most of your supporters are at plate dinners. Your supporters are plate dinner supporters that can afford $2,000 a dinner. Right? That's where your support comes from. Your support comes from $675,000 in speaking fees paid by Goldman Sachs to you. That's a lot of. I think it was 3 speeches. She got paid that much money for 3 speeches. Shit. I want to make that kind of money, Janine.
Yeah. I see Sean is saying that Samuel L. Jackson supports Hillary, which is so disappointing.
It is.
Maybe he'll come around.
It is. No respect, Sam. None. I have no idea what you're doing there, man. None. It's
and Kanye. Well.
Oh, that's an embarrassment.
We won't go there for that one.
I'm not going to go. Actually, that's a great... Samuel, you're in league with Kanye. Think about that for a second. Change your mind quick. Okay? Because I know you're not in league with Kanye, my friend. Here, let's just show... What I wanted to do earlier that I hadn't was just look at some of these... We get a lot of emails from Michael Briggs. Michael Briggs is one of the press, or the press guy, sends us a lot of statements about what's going on with Bernie Sanders. I love the way they word this stuff. And by the way, hi everybody, PNP Railroad, John Porter, Sim Cat, Sam, who else is in here? Jay LeBlanc,
Steph, David H, Ed Thompson, and I have been talking about IT stuff.
Nice. Nice. Well, read this. This is great. Wanted to make sure you saw this story from the New York Times today on Secretary Hillary Clinton's speaking fees. The excerpt is below. Miss Clinton's own speech making was a veritable. I gotta read over here. Was a veritable tour through high finance. She gave paid speeches at GTCR, the Chicago private equity firm that the Republican governor of Illinois, Bruce Rauner, that's his name, helped found. Deutsche Bank, the German financial services conglomerate, and the investment bank Morgan Stanley, lots of dirt there, among other companies. Goldman Sachs alone paid Mrs. Clinton $675, I can't even read this morning, $675,000 for 3 speeches. That's just, I don't even know what to say about that.
And actually, Jean Shaheen was on MSNBC a little while ago, and I think it was William mentioned it as well in the chat. And she was asked directly by the person on MSNBC about that, and said, well, was that a mistake? And Jean Shaheen basically didn't want to answer the question. She started talking about something else, and he was like, well, that's not the question I asked. they asked again, was it a mistake for her to take that money? And she twisted the answer. She really didn't answer it. But, yeah, I mean, huge mistake,
Yeah.
and then, that's just one company, Goldman Sachs.
The amount of money, the amount of money is disgusting, folks. And here's dirt number 2. This is from the Burlington Free Press on a paper refusing to take off-the-record tips for President the Super PAC, correct the record. Wessel said that his organization prefers to be named only when speaking about Republican candidates. He offered to have his organization named in certain cases if the Free Press requested permission. The Free Press declined to agree to Wessel's term. I mean, Janine, could you expound on that?
Sure.
Thank you.
So the Super PAC is known as Correct the Record. We had talked about Correct the Record months ago. It was right after the November 14th Democratic debate. Obviously, a lot of the online polls had shown that Bernie had won, etc. Except Correct the Record, which is Hillary's Super PAC, basically had their own poll done that showed that Hillary won. And the Free Press, the Burlington Free Press, was first tried to contact the Correct the Record officials to talk to them about that. And I guess what's been happening since then is this Correct the Record Super PAC has been trying to, off the record, give these news tips about Bernie, like to trash him to the Burlington Free Press. And basically, the Burlington Free Press has been saying, sorry, we're not going to, we don't want these off-the-record tips, sorry.
Nice.
But yeah, can you imagine this Super PAC who's trying to dig up dirt on Bernie, contacting, media outlets like Burlington Free Press and trying to, get them to write negative stuff about Bernie.
And where's MSM on this? Because this is corruption, right? You can't do this. This is bullshit, right?
Well, I don't know where the legal ramifications are. I'm sure if they're doing it to the Burlington Free Press, they're doing it to other news organizations as well.
Sure. Others that probably aren't saying no, right? I mean, that's the scary part here is this misinformation is being pushed out.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a really tricky thing, but it just goes to show how when I hear stuff like this, I always think back when we talk about it a lot. The election of McKinley and Bryan back in the day, when you had people like Carnegie and J.P. Morgan and what's the other dude's name? Rockefeller. Basically trying to buy off the press and so that, McKinley would get elected. It's kind of like the same thing, same situation we're in right now.
It's interesting. Thank you for just making that very simple. We have politicians that can be paid off and we have press that can be paid off or people that are trying to pay off the press. And when the bulk of America gets their information from whatever mainstream source they can get it, and that information isn't the truth. I don't know. There's just something wrong all around about that. It makes you wonder what people are really trying to do. Is it really just all about profit for you? Are you that small-minded? Are you that narrow-sighted? Are you really that small of a thinker that all you can think about is profit? And that you would put profit above people, which is really all this is about, folks. This is about putting profit above people. Every time. This is what the establishment does. And we're gonna get into that story. I wanna cut this other thing here on this pissed me off. I saw this statement come through from Hillary Clinton on knocking some sense into Iowans, right? Shaking some sense into Iowans, whatever her really words are. Everybody see that come through the internet? This is the difference between the establishment and Bernie Sanders. This is a statement by the Sanders campaign, Michael Briggs. U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders campaign spokesman Michael Briggs issued the following statement Thursday after an aide to Secretary Hillary Clinton said she gave a speech to shake some sense into Iowa. Apparently, the fact that Iowans are strongly in support of Bernie means they need some sense shaken into them. What were you going to say, Janine?
Just that line, shake some sense into you. It just sounds like, I don't know, so condescending.
It is. It's yeah. This is a strange way to appeal to Iowans who already have a lot of common sense. That's why they picked Barack Obama in 2008, and that's why we're confident they will caucus for Bernie on February 1st. Whoever told Hillary to say that was an idiot, and I'm so glad she did. And I apologize, Iowa. You know, when your candidate, your establishment candidate says, you don't know what you're doing, let me shake some sense into you, you shouldn't be voting for the Bernie guy. What does that tell you about her integrity? What does that tell you about what she really wants from you? She's got no plans, no details, doesn't really have any support of the people, just support of corporations. She gets paid a shit ton of money to go deliver speeches for people like Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs is one of the most horrific companies on earth. They take money from criminals. They help them hide it away in the Cayman Islands. They are a horrific company. Hillary gets paid $125,000 a speech to go talk to Goldman Sachs. That's when you say, when Hillary sends me another email, are you with me? It's like, no, because I'm not with Goldman Sachs, and I'm not with Chevron, and I'm not with Exxon, okay? And I'm not with supplying us irradiated food from Japan because you went and made a deal with them after Fukushima started leaking. Right? Those aren't the things that I stand for, Hillary Clinton. I stand with Bernie Sanders and what he stands for, which is what the 99 stands for. Common sense, like Iowans have. They don't need anything else from you, Hillary. Don't be shaking them. Maybe that's your problem. Somebody needs to put some sense into you. Maybe some honesty and some integrity and some respect for the 99%, because you don't have any, Hillary Clinton. You don't. You lost mine years ago. Years ago when you sold out to the drug companies in the early 90s. Your single payer effort until they paid you. And it wasn't even that much. They paid you like less than $200,000. I remember seeing the numbers like $197,000 and change they handed you to get you to shut up about single payer. Didn't take much. I would have asked for a lot more. They're really rich. Pharma companies have billions. You could have really walked away with enough to support your entire campaign today from them. Although I'm sure you got more after years.
There's a great video out there if anyone watching this hasn't seen it yet, with Elizabeth Warren talking about Hillary on healthcare and how how originally she was for single payer and then how it all changed. So get a chance to see it. Go and take a look at that, and I know what John's bringing up next. So I thought I knew what he was bringing up next. Now I'm not so sure.
Well,
all right.
You mentioned Elizabeth Warren, so I was like, oh, let's go to that. But you're talking about something different than this, huh?
Well, yeah, this other video was from years ago.
Okay. So yeah, and on that note, as Janine was saying,
I thought I was doing a little segue there,
You did. It's perfect. It's beautiful. It's beautiful because I was all running off, getting ranty and everything. Hey, Eric, nice to see you. Yes, I am tired of the privatization is a magical solution too. Privatization is not a magical solution. Privatization is profit over people. Hands down, plain and simple. Okay, that's what privatization is. Okay. That's what charter schools are. Elizabeth Warren, I gotta frame this up, Steve. This is Elizabeth. This is from Miles Dyer on Twitter. Here, we're gonna run this clip just like this, and it says, "Wow, could Elizabeth Warren get any closer to endorsing Bernie Sanders without actually doing so?" I'm gonna pull this up here and run it.
And this video is from either yesterday or the day before. I'm not sure which one, just to set the time.
There you go. There we go.
New presidential election is upon us. The first votes will be cast in Iowa in just 11 days. Anyone who shrugs and claims that change is just too hard has crawled into bed with the billionaires who want to run this country like some private club. All of us were sent here to do our best to make government work. To make it work, not just for those at the top.
That was a short little clip. But,
yeah, and a couple of us were talking yesterday about this, and, one of them said that they wish that they had a meme of Hillary's face, kind of like how Barack Obama's was when he did his change, the artist that made that poster for him. But hers would say, no, we can't. Because she's basically running on a campaign that, no, we can't have health care. No, we can't have free college. No, we can't. And really, who wants that? That among everything is, I think, her biggest mistake in this whole campaign is just coming across as the no, we can't candidate. And, by Elizabeth Warren acknowledging the fact that, she's basically saying that, if we have candidates that are basically saying they're not going to change anything, they're not going to attempt to do anything, why in the hell would we ever vote for them?
it's a great question. Exactly. I mean, what Hillary is trying to do, in all honesty, is maintain establishment politics. She's recognized that, and the establishment on the Democratic side has recognized they're going to have to slide a lot farther to the liberal end of things than they really wanted to. But that's okay with them as long as the establishment remains in control. Because, one, they can promise you the moon like they've been promising me for decades. I'm 45, 46 here in a couple weeks, and I've listened to politicians lie on both sides of the fence for decades. Started in the Reagan era when I became aware of politics. I mean, the first politician I watched was Ronald Reagan, and he lied about selling weapons to both sides of a conflict. But he got away. This is standard, folks. Hillary Clinton works for the establishment. All the establishment is going to do is appease the people long enough to get in office for another 4 years, and then they really don't give a shit. They're going to do what they please. And if the people get mad, what are we going to do? We already elected the president. We can't touch them. And Congress is going to make sure that even if they argue back and forth, things will really basically stay the same. They may have to change something a little here, but for us, nothing is going to change, folks. It hasn't for decades. I don't know why you would think it would now with Hillary Clinton. They just toss the ball back and forth, hand each other different sums of money behind closed doors. Sometimes a little more liberal initiatives come up. Sometimes a little more Republican initiatives come up. But overall, our nation doesn't grow. What grows is our military budget. What grows is Homeland Security budget. What grows is money in the Cayman Islands for all of our politicians that are making bank off selling weapons of war around the world. Off sending our children to die for these wars so that they can make money. That's what the establishment is. Hillary Clinton works for Goldman Sachs, Chevron, Exxon, the Nazi Germany of the energy industry. I don't know how you could look at an establishment politician on any side and say, yeah, that's who I want. That's who I want to vote for. That's the person working for me, the one that says that $12 an hour is about all I can give you and 15 is too much.
But don't you know, John? Hillary says Bernie is the establishment.
I know. We'll get to we're going to get to that story. That is the funniest thing. Before we get to Hillary talking about Bernie as the establishment, which basically tells you Hillary has no idea what Bernie says, what we mean when we call her an establishment politician. She doesn't even know what that damn word means. This is Hillary Clinton's mudslinger. This is another message from Michael Briggs. And I don't even know who this David Brock guy is until I read this little blurb. I do know who Anita Hill is. I remember this.
Yeah, David Brock is the one. I think he's at the head of the all the Hillary super PACs.
Okay. He's at the head of the Hillary super PACs. That's wonderful.
Correct the record, and I think there's another one too.
Yeah, I wish I had the pictures, but you all know this. I find this ridiculous. I find this absolutely ridiculous that they wouldn't do this. Bernie Sanders, Bernie Sanders spokesman Michael Briggs issued the following statement on Thursday about Hillary Clinton mudslinger David Brock. Bernie Sanders, as everybody knows, has one of the strongest civil rights records in Congress. He doesn't need lectures on civil rights and racial issues from David Brock, the head of a Hillary Clinton super PAC. 25 years ago, it was Brock, a mudslinging right-wing extremist, who tried to destroy Anita Hill, a distinguished African-American law professor. That he did, folks. I do remember this. He's a complete asshole. He later was forced to apologize for his lies about her. Today, he is lying about Senator Sanders. Today, he is the head of Hillary Clinton's super PACs. What a great person of integrity to pick, Hillary. It's bad enough that Hillary Clinton is raising millions in special interest money in her super PACs. It's worse that she would hire a mudslinger like David Brock. She should be ashamed of her association with him. She absolutely should, and she should remember that Bernie Sanders walked with Martin Luther King in the 60s, folks. You know where Hillary was when Bernie was working for civil rights? Hillary Clinton was working for Goldwater, who wanted to keep the fountains separate. Hillary Clinton didn't discover that she was for gay marriage until a few years ago. I don't understand where she comes off doing this shit. Who the hell do you think you are, Hillary? I know who you think you are. A very entitled queen. That's who you think you are. You were the queen of America on the Dem side. And I'm offended by this. Bernie Sanders has a history, a 30-plus year long history of standing up for civil rights. David Brock, you don't know what the hell you're talking about, asshole. Fuck you, David Brock. That's the first F-bomb I have dropped in this show today. I have been very good about that. I don't even know why. I don't know. Nothing's F-bombable yet until that. That pisses me off. Go check the record, Hillary.
Well, I think
slinging shit. Jesus.
I think at the end of the day, most people who have been paying attention to this election, they know they can do a side-by-side search. They can go to ifyoulikehillary.com or many of the other sites and see where the candidates stood and when. And they can, for themselves understand, whose heart and mind has been in the right place, the whole time.
I'm pulling it up. Thank you for reminding me. Let's go look at side-by-side comparison of civil rights between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders. Let's just take a look. Maybe David Brock. David, you need to go to ifyoulikehillary.com, David. You should have gone here first. Bernie Sanders introduced a bill to end the federal ban on marijuana. Okay? Hillary recently called for reclassification. Bernie's against the death penalty. Hillary supports the death penalty. Bernie doesn't receive money from private prison lobby. Private prison lobby. One of the most disgusting things we have in this country. Private prison system. Her campaign has raised money from private prison lobbyists. In October 2015, she vowed to stop accepting private prison money. In October of 2015, because she was campaigning and realized, I shouldn't be taking their money anymore, but I sure have plenty of it now. I don't understand why that's okay. I was doing this, it was wrong. Now I'm not. And you like me, right? You're okay with me, 99, right? You guys support me. Send me $1, will you? Right. Supported Burlington's first gay pride parade in 1983. Hey, Human Rights Campaign, we know that it was your board of directors that voted for Hillary, but the people in your group are pissed. And we know this. Same with you, Planned Parenthood. Shame on you for letting your board decide for what your people want. We know that they wanted Bernie Sanders. Hillary opposed gay marriage until March 2013. Now, this is all civil rights, but truly, the real big thing, and they don't even list it on here, is the fact that Bernie Sanders marched. You go out there and Google it. Bernie Sanders, MLK, 1960s, just throw in a couple terms, and you will see pictures of him. They've got him singled out in the crowd. There he is. And then Google Hillary at the same time, and you will see her as a little intern for Goldwater. When people say they had to think about it, all I'll say is this. Here's two people, relatively the same age back then. I don't really know how old Hillary is compared to Bernie. They both made choices. They both had a choice back then as to which political party they were going to back, as to where they were going to stand as human beings. Hillary made a choice. and Bernie made a choice. And if you looked at nothing else, that should tell you what kind of people they are. Right there. That's all I need to know, folks. So David Brock, fuck you. There's number 2. That's number 2. Just look at that again, folks. For the record, Bernie Sanders has stood up for civil rights. For the record. Hillary has flip-flopped where she needed to so she can get elected. It's not going to work this time. So, comments on that, Janine? Anything? Thoughts?
I was watching a little bit of a clip from the circus. I guess it's a Showtime series where they're following some of the candidates, and they had Bernie and Jane on. And it was really great because one, we got to see a little behind the scenes of the two of them and everything. And, one of the best parts was how they got him to talk about why he got involved. And I think a lot of people know the story. They were going back and forth at Denny's one morning talking about whether or not Bernie should run. And, a veteran went up to him and said, I'll do whatever I can to help support you if you choose to run because, you've done so much for me and so forth. And, the thing that always gets me too when we talk about this stuff is the reason, and he says it in that show, was the reason he got into politics in the first place was because he felt a pull to service. Because I guess, originally back in Burlington, Vermont, they had issues with potholes and snow removal and stuff like that. That's why he got involved, because he wanted to do something about it and because people were asking him to, to help do something about it. And
right.
It's kind of snowballed since then. It wasn't like an ego thing. It's not a power trip thing. It's because he wants to help people.
Right.
And, and I think that's the big difference. And that's, one of the main reasons for his appeal.
I agree. And you kind of nailed it. There are people that go into politics because they want to have a career in politics. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. That's okay if you're just interested in having a career in politics. But there's a difference between wanting to have a career in politics and wanting to change something about your city or your town or your state or your nation. And when you have a calling like that, like Bernie Sanders had, it drives you. It drove him for 30 years. That's the kind of guy I want sitting in the Oval Office. I want somebody who says, I have had this fire in me all my life to make this a better place. And I started here in Burlington, and now I'm going to take it to the world because I actually listen to what the people are saying. That's when we talk, and this is a great way to drop into this article here about Hillary calling Bernie Sanders establishment. It's the dumbest thing.
Most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
Yeah. I just...
She's grasping at straws. I mean, come on. Attacking him for electability didn't work. Attacking him because he's a socialist and will never get elected didn't work. Now he's establishment. What are you gonna? What's the next thing you're gonna pull up? Because this is not gonna work either.
No. Before we talk, I just gotta say this. I just watched something come through from Robin Morris. Trump eats cheeseburgers. Hopefully, what did he say? He'll get a new heart before long, or need a new heart. Are we talking about health? Are we hoping Trump knocks off? I'd be happy with that too. But yeah, I thought it was kind of funny. I'm still trying to look through here, guys, see what's going on. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Thank you. I know we don't have a full crew. This is a little bit different of a show, and I really want to engage with you guys. And so we're trying to make it work here. This though, Hillary Clinton pinned establishment label on Bernie Sanders, and just here's the deal, Hillary. The establishment term has to do with whether you're working for the people or whether you're working for politicians, corporations, corrupt individuals. Now, Bernie can easily explain this to you by just showing you who has donated to him versus who has donated to you. And those are out there. But that's what establishments mean, Hillary. Here, you got to read the quote because it's really kind of funny. She actually thought she was on top of her game here. The Democratic frontrunner told CNN's Wolf Blitzer on the Situation Room that Sanders' charge That Planned Parenthood and the Human Rights Campaign support Clinton because they are all part of the establishment didn't make sense to her. Of course it didn't, Hillary, because you don't even know what the fuck that means. What we said there was that the boards, because both the Human Rights Campaign and the Planned Parenthood votes were not a vote of their members. It was a vote of the 1% board that runs these groups that were probably paid by Hillary Clinton's campaigns or super PACs to vote this way. This is corruption. This is money in politics, plain and simple. And it's really sad that Hillary isn't even capable of understanding the label, the term establishment politician. She doesn't understand what it means because she is one. She is so embedded. She is the queen of establishment politicians. She is the queen, folks. I just don't understand what that means. He's been in Congress. He's been elected to the office a lot longer than I have. Said, right, the difference is, Hillary.
In the same breath, she tries to say that she has more experience. Can't have it both ways.
Right. Good point. I didn't even think about that. Say that again, Jenny, because I was talking over you.
Because, like, she's saying, oh, well, he's more establishment because he's been in the Senate for longer and he's held office longer. But at the same time, she's been out, this past week saying how she's the candidate with more experience and you should vote for her because she has more experience.
Right. It's he's been in Congress for 25 years. And so let your viewers make their own judgment, Clinton said. We are, Hill. We are making our own judgment. The fact that you don't even understand what that means is sad. It's sad. I wonder how many other politicians in Congress don't understand that they are also establishment politicians. Here's what it means, folks. When you take money from corporations, ignore the people, and do what you want to do with corporations so that you can make money off the blood of the people, that's called an establishment politician. Bernie's record stands tall and straight for the people. Bernie's record, all of his career, his whole career, not here or there, took some money here, then not here. There are no backhanded deals in Bernie Sanders' career. When you look at how much money the man has, it's not much, folks. When you compare what Bernie has in his publicly displayed finance accounts compared to what Hillary shows in her accounts, remember, Hillary just said she was going to possibly attack the same loophole, the same tax loop haven that her and Bill use. Her and Bill use a tax loophole to stash money in the Cayman Islands. And she just came out, this is how desperate she is. Oh, we should do something. We got to tell them we're going to do something about Wall Street. Hey, let's go after that thing. And you want to know, probably right after she said that, Bill called her up and goes, Bill, that's a bad idea. We put a lot of money in that thing. I mean, it's ridiculous. How much of a hypocrite can you be? This is what it means to be an establishment politician, Hillary Clinton. You can't even keep track of your own bullshit. You don't even know where you've got money stashed or who you took money from. When you make $125,000 a speech and you take money from people like Goldman Sachs, you're an establishment politician, whether you've been in office 1 year or 100 years. That's the difference, Hillary. I hope it's clear now. You work for the establishment. Bernie works for the people. Plain, simple, cut and dry. Oh, pisses me off. She's just, I don't know.
Yeah, it's just about, she doesn't know. She's just grasping at straws, trying to figure out different angles to try to attack him on, and it's not working, obviously. So, and it's kind of sad in a way because it just shows the desperation right now, and she's coming up with these attacks that are just falling flat, and every time she does it, and she picks a worse and worse argument, it looks even more sad, so I don't know, I kind of, in a way, like, I can't say that I feel bad, but I think she really does need, some better people on her staff or something to think about what they're trying to do. You can't attack Bernie and expect it to work.
No.
If her only platform is to attack Bernie or to say what we can't do because she's the no we can't candidate, then I don't see any reason why anyone would ever vote for her.
No. Yeah, it makes no sense. We're coming up on like 4 minutes left in this hour. Not that we really have to stop, but I'm impressed. I really didn't think we'd have enough material. And I tried not to be super ranty. I think we were. There's a couple things we could cover. I was going to run some videos, but you guys all know them. Bernie released a couple new ads. He's got one Defend the Nation. There's one on energy. There's a great one that we will go out with just because I really love it because I'm a Simon & Garfunkel fan. It's They're All Coming to America. I like it. It gave me goosebumps.
Yeah, we'll talk about that one in a little bit too, because there's a lot of significance with that. Which
is there?
Yeah.
Cool. I was not aware. I want to cover. I want to go back really quick though. I can't remember if we actually said this. I want to remind everybody really quickly that unlike mainstream media, we're going to remind you that Flint, Michigan still exists, and that currently it is in a state of ridiculousness. I just saw something coming through. It's the Twitter is not trending anymore for Flint or Flint water crisis. But if you go hashtag, look up those hashtags, you will see that Governor Snyder is now possibly facing having to go to Congress and explain himself. That's what they're saying, is that he may have to go to Congress and explain himself. I don't understand why politicians get treated this way. If it were ISIS that had poisoned the water, we'd be nuking them. If it were anybody but a rich white man protected by the Koch brothers, he'd be in jail right now. And he should be in jail right now. There shouldn't be any reason for him to go stand in front of Congress and explain himself. We see what the hell he did. The man's a criminal. He's murdered people, children. He's caused brain damage. He has caused damage to Flint that we will not really fully understand or know the extent of for years to come. But for some reason, he's still walking around free. He's still in charge. He's still wearing a suit and tie. I don't understand that. This man should be hauled out onto the street and justice delivered any way Flint decides. Obama is there car shopping. I don't really understand that, Obama. Have some balls. Have some balls and do something. I don't understand that. This is the ineptness of our Congress. This is establishment politics, folks. When you're protected so much by money that instead of just being arrested and prosecuted and tried for your crimes against humanity, you walk around free and you get to do what the fuck you want. Snyder, you will face justice. One way or the other, you will face the justice of the people. And I hope it hurts. I really do. Whatever it is, I hope it hurts. Just to remind everybody.
Before you go on to another topic there, John, and I want to see who it was that, I think it was Ed in the chat room, mentioned it, and I wanted to also bring it up.
Yes.
A lot of people are not aware of this thing that's happening in the Detroit public schools.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, the teachers there are doing a sick out because of the conditions of the schools there. There's mold and other things, and we should all be sure to throw our support behind those teachers, and because the conditions in these schools are deplorable, and we just want to make sure people know that our thoughts and wishes are for the best for those teachers who are trying to make a difference there in Detroit.
Absolutely, Detroit is an American tragedy. It is the whole. We could do. You know what? We should just do an entire expose on Michigan. And
yeah, maybe we can have a little section at least for tomorrow to talk about that.
We should. We should. We abandoned Detroit. It's horrific what's happened there and what's going on there. These teachers are standing up for themselves. Their government's corrupt. They have no money in their education because they've all pocketed it. And these teachers are working in schools that don't have proper equipment. They got poison water. They got mold growing all. This is America, folks. This is supposed to be the best country in the world, and we are falling apart. I look at these pictures online, I see these stories, and I'm recalling what the fall of Russia looked like. I mean, I remember the late 80s. I remember seeing towns in Russia and the pictures that MSM would show us, and look what happens when the collapse of Russia happens in all these places and all of that. America's in the same place, folks. We are collapsing as a nation because our government has been so greedy for so long. At the state level, at the federal level, they work together to do only what they want to do for themselves, for the 1%.
Well,
they pocket your money.
We're spending billions on tanks that we don't need, airplanes that don't fly right, rebuilding other countries, and and taking money every year from local governments for things like schools and roads and police and fire. Enough is enough.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And let's remind everybody that while they're spending all this money on tanks, while they're spending all this money on, they spend 54% of your money on war, folks. 54% of your money goes to war. Let's remind everybody that Exxon has known for 40 years that what they're doing with fossil fuels has destroyed our planet. And the only reason I'm bringing this up right now is to also remind you that the government is planning on giving $110 billion, $110 billion of your dollars, your money. You bought gas from Exxon down the road, gas that was paid for by your blood, and then and that's destroying the environment. It has been since 1977 when they really understood it. It's been before that, but that's when they knew. They knew in 1977. And then our government says, you're so great, Exxon, and we're making so much money together as a corrupt entity that we're going to give you even more money. Instead of $110 billion going to education for the next 10 years, it's going to go to Exxon and BP and Shell for destroying our planet. We are paying them for destroying our planet. I don't understand this. I don't understand this at all. It makes absolutely no sense. Imagine if that's what it had been. Would we be paying them money? What would we be doing if this were the case? I think we would have bombed them. We would have nuked them. We would have found a reason to go to war. And that makes me want to bring this up, because Bernie Sanders released a statement on the Aliso Canyon methane leak. What you're looking at here, folks, is a FLIR camera view of the methane leak in Aliso Canyon, California. 87,000 metric tons of methane. How big is it? It's a mega leak. It's huge. It's ridiculous. It's not going to get fixed anytime soon, folks. You want to see how bad it is? Here's a running counter. Okay? That's how much gasoline is being burned. This is how much CO2 is being released into the air. This is horrific, folks. And this happens all over the world, not to this extent. This is a mega leak, but these things leak everywhere. Look, $13 million, which apparently is piss money to Shell and the people that are having this leak all over the place. They don't care. They're not in a hurry to fix this. Bernie Sanders issued a statement, and that's the reason we're bringing that up. He issued a statement on that. We're going to cover that statement, and then we're going to close. This is Bernie's statement. I'm going to read. Oh, it's got Michael Briggs' number in there. You know, for all the times I end up putting Michael Briggs' number in there, it's ridiculous. Yeah, we just don't want you calling Michael Briggs as the number. I won't read it. I'm just going to say he's got a statement out there. But what's awesome about this statement is that Bernie Sanders has a command of the facts. He has a command of the science. He understands what exactly is happening in Aliso Canyon. He lists the fact that more than 87,000 metric tons of methane gas have escaped into the air. He says methane traps more than 85 times the heat of carbon dioxide. This is true. Methane is the worst, folks. Methane is the worst possible greenhouse gas we could be releasing, and we're releasing it in California, which has horrific emissions control. Understand that? California has a terrible time with emissions because it's got nowhere to go. It's a basin, it's a desert, there's no wind. The difference between California and Oregon has a wind that blows all of our toxic air down to Columbia and onto Chicago. And so in Oregon, you can literally, at a landfill, take a pipe, shove it in the ground where it hits a methane pocket, just let it vent right into the air. In Oregon, it's okay because we have wind and it blows away. In California, you have to take that vented methane, put it on a thermal oxidizer, which costs about $100,000, and then it separates things out so that what you're left with is NO2, water, and oxygen. Now, this leak is methane, pure methane, coming out of the ground faster than anything out of an Oregon landfill with a pipe shoved into it, blowing off into the wind. Although that's happening all over the place.
62 million cubic feet a day.
62 million cubic feet a day, folks. We already know that our planet's dying. We already know that we were supposed to fix this 20 years ago. That if we had started working on green energy 20 years ago, seriously as a nation, we might have a chance at survival. But we know now that our planet is going to become a fucked up rock in 20, 30, 40 years, and the chances of our kids being able to survive on it, not much. So Bernie Sanders is releasing these statements. Has Hillary Clinton said anything about the Canyon leak other than we made a lot of money selling shit to those guys?
I know Bernie was calling for Hillary's climate policy the other day.
We're calling for all of her policies.
Got crickets, basically, you know. I don't know if she even has one.
I doubt it. I doubt she does.
Well, for someone who had no stance on the Keystone other than being for it before, and basically, you know, just stuck her finger in the air to see which way the wind was blowing, and then realized, oh, I better say I'm against Keystone to get elected until, you know, I can change my mind later.
Yeah, exactly. That's another thing. Right. Let's look at the records again, folks, as Jadine just said. Who's flip-flopped on these things because they needed to? Hillary Clinton. Who has always been against running pipelines across our country so we can make some people rich who fuck up our land? Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, I think it was, I'm not sure if it was Ted Vine, I think it was Hardball yesterday, and it was basically trying to grill him to say, well, won't Bernie move to the center after he wins the primary? And he's saying no. He's going to stay. Oh, come on. You know he's going to have to move to the center in order to win the general. He's like, no, Bernie is who Bernie is. He's been saying the same things for 30 years. He's not going to move to the center. Unlike, you know who. Well, right. Who would.
And I'm glad you brought that up. I don't understand why they're talking about moving to the center. The center implies some middle ground between right and left. Okay? That's not what's happened here, folks. What's happened here is the right has gone way over here, and the left was like, hi, we're here. And over time, the left kept coming this way. Well, we got to meet the right somewhere. The center has been pulled so far to the right, folks, that what we're doing on the left looks radical, but it's actually what the hell we should be doing, because all the other modern countries that are thriving around the world have been making these changes for a long time. We are behind the ball because our politicians are not interested in upgrading the country for the people. They're fine making money off the shit we have now. That's a business practice. Why change it if it's working? The only reason they're going to have to change it now, the only reason Hillary's looking at changing things is because we're demanding change. We're pissed. It's like, well, guys, we're not going to be making as much money as we wanted to there because we're going to have to change some things because the country's pissed. It's just it's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. There was something I just saw that came through I wanted to respond to. Ed Thompson. I used to work in the air emissions industry selling landfill equipment. So I will tell you this. Landfill is a great money-making game for people like Waste Management. Okay? Because you buy a piece of land after you buy a piece of land, you turn it into a landfill. Landfills are an outdated, ancient way of dealing with garbage. We shouldn't even do them anymore. They're a bad idea. We have better ways. There are full burners now. Process waste burner. There was a company in Iceland that made these, and Butterball, the company that makes Butterball turkeys, Tyson Foods, actually installed one of these ConAgra. What it does is take waste, organic waste, and superheats it and breaks it down into basically oils, into base components. And those oils at different levels can be reused in different aspects. Reused in machinery, reused in cooking. It's an amazing process. And when you take that and burn it like that and put it through a thermal oxidizer, which actually breaks down all of the bad chemicals, breaks it all down, you can burn it cleanly. It's called stoichiometry, where you're dealing with the temperature and the rise of how you're burning things to separate the molecules and put them back into the air. And there are machines that do this. They're used in emissions control all over the world. Now, in the United States, because our emissions are controlled by profit, there's only very few places that have to use these things, thermal oxidizers. Very few places that have to use this stuff because they're expensive. The point is that we have a better way to deal with our garbage. France burns most of its garbage, turns it back into fuel. Burns it cleanly, turns it back into fuel. Only 5% of their garbage, mostly toxic waste, actually goes into the ground. The only reason we have landfills today, folks, is because waste managers make a lot of money off them. Because after we've done the ground and after it's done, it's methane, which methane comes out of landfill and that's nice and everything, but we're not really harnessing it as much as we should. And the problem with it is leachate. You can't do that without creating wastewater, and that wastewater we don't know what the hell to do. So that's going to be a problem. Sorry, Janine, am I boring everybody?
No, I was just going to say, interesting story about waste management here in Rhode Island, and this does have a link to the presidential race, so I will get there. Rhode Island is a very small place. I think we're like 40 miles wide or something like that. Small state in the country. We basically have one major landfill in the state, and some people call it Mount Trashmore because I think it's like the second highest peak in the state of Rhode Island.
Nice.
It's pretty sad, but the smells from it on Sundays in the summer can reach to many corners of the state. It's that bad. It's really bad on some days. And the thing that's interesting about it is, I think it was about 8 years ago, Donald Trump wanted to build a casino in Rhode Island, and it would be located, I think, less than a mile from this landfill. And the reason it was never built was because, or maybe there was other reasons too, but the main reason was because of the smell. And he wanted the state to put in some kind of system to clean it up, so that it would be more efficient, the smell would go away, and the state basically said no. They weren't going to do it, so he didn't build his casino there. So there you go. A little bit of link. So maybe Donald Trump did try to do one decent thing there, but I think at the same time, I think he just wanted to not have a smelly casino. So there you go.
Right. I doubt for a minute Donald Trump was trying to actually do something for the environment, right? His profit environment, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's and it's expensive. A really good flare costs, which is a thermal oxidizer, basically, is $1 million. $1 million. They're expensive. What's I will say this though, Oregon does some very cool things. Riverside landfill, I think it is, out in Oregon, uses poplar trees. I said there was this stuff called leachate. Leachate's this nasty ass water that you get after you burn off the gases that you get out of the landfill. There's this because what's happening in a landfill is an oxygen deprived fire that can't turn into a fire. But it's basically a cooking, boiling soup of grossness. And so you burn off the gas, and then what's left is this nasty liquid. And that nasty liquid, we don't know what to do with it. Sometimes they just put it in pools, let it evaporate, which is okay. Other times they burn it through thermal oxidizers cleanly, but that costs money to run, and they don't really do anything with that energy. But in Oregon, they have planted poplar trees, and poplar trees grow really fast, and they don't really give a shit what kind of water you give them. So they have 2 orchards of poplar trees, and they grow one and feed it with leachate water, and then they cut it down and it goes to pulp, and they make paper and toilet paper out of it. And then the other one they grow, and they just keep doing this with these orchards, and it's a really nice ecological way to deal with leachate water. So, just wanted to say that there are ways to deal with things. Oregon has invested in some of those, but it's contradictory when I say at one point, here's Oregon dealing with leachate water in a great way. On the other hand, if you walk around to landfills in Oregon, you don't see a lot of flares because they literally can just shove a pipe vent in the ground and let that methane sneak right up into the atmosphere because they say the wind blows it away. I don't get that. I don't get the contradiction there, Oregon. So, and one last funny thing, Seattle. Oh, we went all fuzzy there. Seattle, King County will claim that they have a green county, and Seattle likes to say that they are green because they don't have any garbage. What they do, folks, is they signed a contract with Waste Management to have garbage hauled from Seattle via a train down to the Columbia, and then onto a barge, and out to an Oregon landfill. And this is Seattle saying that they're green. What they're saying is none of the garbage stays with us. We haul it off somewhere else because the contract to do so was cheaper than keeping it on the ground here. We waste all that energy on the train. We waste all that energy on the barge, getting our garbage away from us, but we're green. That's the hypocrisy of some of these places. I just wanted to share that with you. The landfill industry. Amazing, scary, exciting place. Not really at all. So, I think that's it, Janine. What else do we need to cover? I didn't really mean to wrap on that.
Maybe before we close for the day, I'll talk about some upcoming stuff.
Yes, please.
So let's see. Today is Friday, January 22nd, and I'm waiting for my little sheet to come up here. But so we've got a lot of stuff coming up. We have the Hudson Town Hall tonight. I think we go live at 6 p.m. Eastern. Bernie's going to be speaking in New Hampshire. Right. Tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, there is a special Blue Dot rally that's happening in Nebraska. And we're going to try to get some coverage from there because we do believe that Simone Sanders will be there.
Oh, this is Lou. This is the thing with Lou, right?
This is Lou. Yeah, this is our Nebraskans for Bernie event. And also, we have the nationwide Bernie address that's happening on Saturday night, tomorrow night.
Right.
And we're going to be starting our coverage. We have to take a look at some things because we hear that Bernie is also speaking Saturday night, and we're going to try to bring that to you too. So just stay tuned for the exact time on when we start. It will probably be sometime between 5 and 6 p.m. Eastern Time. On Sunday, we have Bernie will be at the University of Northern Iowa. We're going to try to bring that to you late on Sunday night. On Monday, Bernie has got. If anyone attacks Bernie on not having, enough stamina for the job, they need to look at his schedule honestly because he is. Yeah. I mean, we cover like 1 or 2 events a day, but he typically has 3 or 4 going on. So. On Monday, I think there's another event in Iowa we're going to try to cover. Plus, there's the CNN Presidential Forum. I guess Hillary realized that limiting the number of debates is actually going to backfire on her now that Bernie is the front runner. So, surprisingly, out of nowhere, this CNN Presidential Forum popped up for Monday night. So,
oh yeah,
yeah, and that's going to be. I think we're starting around 8 o'clock Eastern on Monday. And then one other thing is Bernie is going to be in Minnesota on Tuesday.
Yeah, these are good.
So we're going to try to do something for that as well. And I mean, tons of events coming up. Just stay tuned, and we will post the details as we have them.
Yeah, I had those up here. Here's one of the Bernie Sanders in St. Paul on 126, and the other one. And then Duluth. So those are the 2 Minnesota ones. All these things, guys, are on the website, by the way. You can RSVP for them, right, Janine?
Yeah, I mean, if you're in those areas, go to Bernie Sanders' website. Actually, the best place is map.berniesanders.com. Enter your zip code, and it'll tell you all the events that are coming up in your area. And if you see a rally like the one in Duluth, go. I've been to, I think 4 of them now. Definitely go. It's totally worth it. It's unbelievable to be with thousands of other people all cheering for Bernie and listening to his words. It's amazing. So go if you can.
No, I agree. I haven't had, the one time I would have been able to see Bernie was way back when we had just started, and I had to go off to Costa Rica because I had made those plans. And I was very sad. So
he'll be back.
you guys are all lucky in the early primary states because you get to see Bernie a lot, and he's not going to be around Portland forever. He knows he's got the hippies locked. So eventually, I want to meet the man at least once, say hi real quick. And here's the thing, you probably feel the same way, Janine. I mean, you've been to a rally, you've experienced the emotion, the feel. I get it, secondhand from watching it here, but it still brings me to tears a lot of times when he's speaking,
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, I was.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I was at when he announced, and I was at the first one he did up in Burlington. And I think I may have said this before, so if I'm repeating myself, just ignore me. But when I got there really early. I could have been right in front of the stage, but I kind of stayed back. It was me, my husband, and one of my good friends, and we just sat down on a blanket. And there were probably a couple hundred people there at the time. By the time he started talking, and it was almost 100 degrees out, and everyone was really hot and stuff like that. But the people were really clamoring close together, and I was like, it's so hot. Why? And then later on at night, I saw on TV that there were 5,000 people there. That the amount of people that had shown up for this thing, it was incredible. And really, that to me was so moving. And I had no idea because they were all behind me. But I just knew right then and there that something big was going to happen.
Yep. This is MSM will not tell you. They're not going to catalog this. We've got 4 channels shut down now, with hundreds of videos from rallies that every one of these rallies has 1,000 people at least. 1,000 people, 2,000, 3,000, often 5,000. We were just in Birmingham, Alabama with 8,000 people.
8,000 people.
To all of you who say Bernie has no minority support, I say you're blind, you're lying, and you're listening to MSM. Okay? It's out there. This is the change in our nation. This is an exciting time to be alive in America. And you have the chance right now, America, to elect a president with the greatness of FDR, the greatness of Teddy Roosevelt, somebody who is right now going to change this nation the way we want it, the way the people want it to be. It's time to evolve our government. It's time to evolve. Get rid of the dino thinkers. Get rid of the knuckle draggers. Get rid of the rich white men that want to make money off oil and blood. That's what they've done for 40 years, make money off oil and blood. Your blood, your money, paying for their oil twice. You pay for it twice. You buy it at the pump, and then you give them money back so that they don't have to pay taxes. Bernie Sanders is the only one who's going to fix that. Bernie Sanders is the only guy doing these kind of insane tours. Do you see Hillary doing 3-4 stops a day, talking to thousands of people a day? No. Do you see Hillary meeting with African-American leaders, meeting with Hispanic leaders? No. Do you see Hillary out there taking a stand against fracking, taking a stand against the environment, against the things we're doing against the environment? No. What do you see Hillary doing? Being desperate. What do you see her doing? Collecting money from people like Goldman Sachs and then turning around and telling you that she's got your best interest in mind. I doubt it. I don't believe it. And I'll make the same statement I've always made. If you're a Hillary supporter, and you're still a Hillary supporter after watching any one of our programs, please join us in chat and tell me why. I have respect for you. I want to know why you're voting for Hillary. I just don't understand it. Because if you're a human being that works for a living and you're part of the 99, you shouldn't be voting for Hillary. And I'd like to help you become more educated on that. We're going to go out with Bernie Sanders America. This is the latest ad. I call it an ad, but I don't know what I would call these pieces. Promo piece with Bernie Sanders and Simon and Garfunkel tune, and it was really inspiring. I want to remind everybody that this is every day, 9 o'clock in the morning, And we need your help sharing this. We just started a brand new channel because YouTube, well, hey YouTube, let's talk. Yes,
Just
Janine?
one quick thing about the significance of this.
Yes.
Basically, this song uses the Simon and Garfunkel song, as you know, and it's basically their endorsement of Bernie. And for a lot of the baby boomers, this is a big deal because I guess Simon and Garfunkel have been somewhat into politics in the past, and getting their endorsement for Bernie is a pretty big thing. So I've only heard a few people talking about it, but I did want to point out that significance, that the fact that Bernie's using their song is an indication of their endorsement of Bernie. So
that's huge. That's huge. I mean, that's huge. When you compare endorsements, that says a lot to me. Big respect for Simon and Garfunkel. Not a lot of respect for Goldman Sachs. Not a lot of respect for Exxon. We get to choose today. We get to choose this year, America. It's so really awesome. We get to choose. Thank you for joining us for the Real Newsroom. If you want to share stuff with us, hashtag Real News. I think it's what we're going to use. It's short. Share this program, please. Share my video that I am trying to get YouTube and Google to pay attention to, because if they really truly don't want to be evil, then they need to talk to me. They need to tell me what the hell they're doing. And just to let you know, we will be working on things. We've got some stuff going on. We're finding a new place. We're working it all out, folks. We're working it all out. There's a lot to do in the political revolution. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you for listening, for joining in the conversation. This is what it takes. This is what it takes to change our nation. This is what it takes to elect somebody outside of the establishment. And we aren't even to the hard part yet. Because once Bernie is in office, we got to get rid of all of the other people. Because it's Congress that holds things in a lock. It's Congress that just sits there and circle jerks until the next session starts. Right? We have to elect a Congress that's actually going to function. And the great part about that is that you can run. We now know how to take anybody who wants to work for Bernie in the 99 and push them into office, because all we have to do is support them. We've done it. We just did it with Bernie. We're doing the hard one now. If we can get Bernie in office, the effort it takes to get him in office is huge compared to the effort it will take to get a state person in office, right? So we're learning how to tackle the big ones now, and this is super important. Then we need to get our U.S. senators in place. We need Bernie-crats in government, folks. It's a Bernie-crat government is what we're installing. No more establishment. End of establishment, into the Bernie-crat. This is what we're doing. So thank you for joining us. Janine, you want to say anything at the end here before we cut to the tune?
just see you tonight at 6 o'clock Eastern.
Yes.
For Hudson.
Tonight, 6
Thanks,
o'clock.
everyone.
Bye.
Let us be lovers, we might be our fortunes together. I've got some real estate here in my bag. Bernie Sanders and I approve this message.
Huge.